Imagine being in a plane, listening to the fascinating roaring of engines as the plane goes around, when all of a sudden the plane begins falling rapidly out of the sky. That's exactly what happened to the passengers aboard Air Canada Flight 646. It is a cold Canadian December of 1997, and on the ground stands a CRJ-100ER, operated by Canada's biggest airline. Engines installed were General Electric CF-34, and the aircraft had about 6,000 flight hours and 5,184 cycles. In the left-hand seat is a professional 34-year-old captain with a whopping 11,020 hours of flight time and 1,770 hours on the type. Moving to the right-hand seat, we can see a less experienced 26-year-old co-pilot with 3,225 flight hours and just 60 flight hours on the CRJ-100, all of which he got in the last 90 days. Now, the crew was probably a bit tired, as both the captain and first officer had worked for 7 hours prior to the incident. The flight had one active flight attendant and one off-duty at C3 Echo. The inactive attendant also worked on the type and had 1.5 years of experience with Air Canada. The first officer, who was assigned to be pilot flying, meaning that he would fly the aircraft while the captain monitors everything, began taxiing to the runway. At 21:24 local time, the plane took off and headed to Fredericton. The flight was uneventful, and now the plane was on approach into runway 15, and the crew listened to 80s.
Fredericton Information Hotel. 300 Zulu weather. Wind 270 at 8, RVR 1000. Sky conditions 100 overcast, temperature -5, dew point -5. Altimeter 2992. Arriving runways 2733, departing runways 2733. Advise on initial contact you have hotel.
The autopilot was now following the instrument landing system, which helps pilots put the plane on a stabilized approach and gives the crew time to set all the systems for landing. The plane continued flying using that system. Now the captain remarked that he saw the runway lights at an altitude of 300 feet. Then, at an altitude of 200 feet, which was the decision height, the ground proximity warning system called out
minimums,
to which the co-pilot replied that he would proceed with landing, turned off the autopilot and began hand flying. After the first officer began hand flying, the plane immediately started drifting above the glide path, which the captain remarked twice, telling the co-pilot to bring the plane down onto the glide path. The first officer, in reply to that, started reducing thrust, completely putting it to idle thrust at about 80 feet above ground level. Just bare moments later, the captain, seeing that they were left of the runway, without knowing the distance they had left to stop, immediately called out a go-round. At the same time, the co-pilot also declared a go-round, set thrust to takeoff go-round position and started pulling back to 10 degrees nose up, following flight directives, which he had set for go-round mode. The aircraft had reached a pitch of 10 degrees, but then suddenly the stick shaker activated. Immediately, the captain set flaps to a go-round position, then the stall protection system sounded, at the same time with the co-pilot slightly releasing his forces on the yoke to prevent stalling. But the aircraft still entered a full aerodynamic stall. It is now worth mentioning that during the initial stages of aerodynamic stall of the CRJ-100, the airflow separation from the wing is minimal, meaning the stall warning doesn't count it as a significant cue. Due to a lack of adequate stall warning, the aircraft was equipped with a stall prevention system, a piece of software that compromises a stick shaker to initiate when the stall speed is being approached, causing the plane to pitch down if necessary. Now, the aircraft had already rolled right to a whopping 55 degrees of bank to the right, with the wingtip contacting the runway 45 feet left of the center line. The aircraft rolled left towards wings level, but then, about 260 feet further down the runway, struck it again with the same wingtip with 20 degrees bank and 12 degrees nose-down pitch. The nose wheel and right winglet broke off, the radome and underside of the nose were heavily damaged and all electricity was lost. The aircraft rolled left onto the main wheels, with engines now at full power, exited the right side of the runway at huge speed, plunged through snow on the main wheels, and then struck a ditch parallel about 200 feet from the runway. After striking it, the aircraft became airborne, low to the ground just to strike a sandhill. At the top of the hill, the aircraft flew to the right, struck some trees, and only then came to rest. The aircraft was now a whopping 1,130 feet west of the runway and now 2,100 feet from the initial impact point. The right engine immediately failed after striking the hill, but the left engine still ran for some minutes later, and then the captain managed to shut it down. The aircraft was actually not equipped with an emergency locator, which, combined with snow, fog, a huge distance from the runway, and full darkness, hampered the rescue efforts. The first responders could arrive only 90 minutes after the incident. The crew failed to assist at least 6 people trapped in the aircraft until rescuers arrived. The rescue operation of these passengers was delayed by almost 4 hours, due to the need for the jaws of life and a power saw to free these people. Transportation Safety Board listed 29 causes and factors, coupled with 16 aggravating factors in the crash and rescue of the incidents, which include weather, experience, ice on wings, go-around altitude, and training of the crew. This incident made a huge impact on safety and manuals, thankfully without taking lives. Thank you for watching this video. If you enjoyed it, please like and subscribe. Also, here could be your nickname. It will feature at the end of the video if you buy me a cup of tea via donation alerts, either by scanning this QR code or following the link in the description. Wishing you safe flights and smooth landing.